Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Thank you guys for tuning in to another live segment here with the You Will Make It TV channel. We are the hub for inspirational quotes, divine messages, and insightful topics weekly. We appreciate your support. We are back with another topic, just kind of like a discussion topic or me giving my commentary and reaction for those that aren't aware of who I am. It really doesn't matter. Actually, that's why I don't even show my face a lot when I go live, because it's like the message means more to me than who's delivering the message. And then when it's coming from an authentic place, it's easier to decipher that person or that voice from the next. It's not about being all in all more different than everybody all the time, but sometimes my reactions and commentary are just simply different from what, you know what I'm saying, the masses has to say about a matter. But it is important that we remember all voices matter, especially those voices that come from a place of experience, hope, loss. Like, why wouldn't we want to hear from them, right? And this story out of Milwaukee touched me for whatever reason it did today, because I could just imagine what somebody might have been going through to have to actually take their 6 kids to live at a storage unit until they were, even if it was just temporary, right? Y'all know all the time the news story don't go from A to Z about what was going on in the people's life. And sometimes that's what I don't agree with. It's like, okay, you can take pictures of what their living conditions look like, but what led the family, which I did look into the story, and we're just gonna talk about it a little bit so I can get my reaction and commentary really quick. Happy Saturday to you all out there. And once again, thank you for your support. Please remember to hit that subscribe bell if you haven't already. This way you are immediately notified every time that You Will Make It TV has a new live discussion topic. So yeah, I was just telling myself though, as a mother, what might she have been going through, because 6 kids, that's like 2 more than what I have right now. And sometimes with the plates we have, we could consider them too full or too challenging or too many obstacles, but it's always somebody going through something worse. And notice, Milwaukee, I don't know, it's not where I live, but it just seems like this crisis at this point exists in just about every state. There's a strip, there's a street, there's a community that's now known for more homeless presence, I guess, than others. Now, what was interesting to me about this story, though, is how they even had a car. Because some people, when they out there homeless, they don't even have a car. So they was sleeping in a car. I would say it at least shows their attempt to had kept those kids out of the out from outside at nighttime and through the daytime. Shout out to our visitors in the chat. Thank you for your support. But I was saying, what are people going through when you got something like 6 kids and you got the man prevalent in your life? Like, what's that mean? Like, he's existent right there with you, trying to help you take care of the kids, but y'all still end up living at a storage unit. Because, you know, when you have couples and they come together, usually, traditionally, you have the husband's family and the mother's family, like the mother and the father's family to help support you with those kids. But that's under normal, traditional circumstances, right? Obviously, things have changed in many people's lives when they end up with their kids as storage units or sleeping in a car with their whole kids or sleeping in the storage unit. It's a sad story to see on the news right now, because like, had the police and stuff never found them there, nobody would even knew they was staying there. That's the first thing. That was my first reaction, like, wow, that's crazy to think about. How people might be living in more deplorable situations than that, and nobody knows unless it's quote unquote reported or somebody goes by there. But that's my main thing right here. You Will Make It TV. My encouragement is, now I've been trying to tell people that if you go stay in them storage units, you're kind of setting yourself up to like what is caught. You can't get caught doing something that you're not doing, or that you're doing that you're not supposed to be doing. And it's really crazy. I don't know. I'm not saying the people that's homeless is wrong, but why don't we understand that for the past, at least since the pandemic, that's not new, to hear a story of families staying in them storage units. I want to hear what the storage units have to say at this point. Because they're not going to stop their whole business and company just because they found a few people living in their units. What they will do is probably put them out, you know what I'm saying, shut down the storage unit or give them warnings, things that seem a little normal. But you know, when CPS and all that get involved too, yeah, they can't just walk away knowing you're gonna have those kids in a storage unit. Put Mickey in the stroller. Put him in it. Sorry about that, guys. I was talking to my daughter real quick, but where was I at? Oh, yeah. I just want to hear from more storage unit owners or something, because I feel like the public deserves too. What have y'all been going through? We've heard from some of the Airbnb hosts or shelters and stuff like this, but the storage units is a whole thing. They deserve a platform to speak to, because what have they been going through trying to keep their businesses open? And you got people renting those just specifically to have a place to sleep. As a human and a humanitarian, I don't know why, every piece of empathy in me, that just doesn't sit right. Clearly, we're in a crisis, or people are calling it crisis, or news media's report it as a crisis. But if something is a crisis, usually there's other protocols that go forth to help mediate that crisis. Let's be honest. The definition of crisis is like a really extremity going on in somebody's life, or with a particular thing, last check. So if you're going to label it on these news stories a homelessness crisis, well, where do we go from there? Because for years they've been calling it that. For at least the past 5 years, they said, look, America kind of got more and more homeless people. Really, it wasn't shocking to me, because, like, I've just been familiar, not with homelessness, because I don't want anybody trying to reset my words up like I said something else. So let me make this clear. I just have seen communities of homelessness at least since the 90s. Now, that part is not new. We all know homeless people existed, but let's really stop and think about over the years, like how much it has actually increased the presence. Some people say they seeing these homeless communities in areas that it didn't even once exist. Those tent encampments, let me be more specific, like just in communities or areas or parts of their cities where they weren't even seeing it. Because, you know, a person who know their city, right? And I don't know every city. I'm not finna sit here and pretend I know how every city operates and what their laws and stuff are. But for the most part, where I'm from, which I won't go into deep details about right now, they've always had a little area, a community for the homeless to come get help. So pretty much what I'm saying is everybody from that same city, they know that I'm telling the truth. We all know that a certain street is like a strip. It's not just reserved for the homeless or nothing like that, but that might be where you find a lot of them hang out or go down there to get some caseworker help or go down there and try to help themselves. They even have facilities now where it might not be a shelter, but you can go in there and wash your clothes, take a shower, even pick up a meal, use the Wi-Fi and the computers, maybe to find you a job. I think they call it a resource center, to be exact. But resource centers have always existed too. I'm just happy to see that now more of them are adding those things people do need to survive on a day-to-day basis, like those washers and dryers for free of charge for the homeless to come wash. What else did I just mention? Oh yeah, it's a place they can receive their mail as well, because homeless, you don't really have a stable address where you can receive your mail and everything. So that's another thing that the resource center, when it comes to where I'm from, they had been incorporated. And just shout out to them, the DRC out there. And no, I'm not talking about the Dominican Republic. I'm talking about that's the initials for the day resource center. And I've seen them help people I love. I've seen them help people I barely knew, but maybe bonded with or met them out there on the streets. I mean, and them and their children. It's a reason I brought this up for a second as I jump into this topic real quick, because you would think you have one of those day resource centers that I'm describing just about in every state, in every community. No, I'm not talking about truck stops where people can stop and use the restroom and take a shower. No, I'm not talking about, what's another place they do that? Gyms and stuff where, like the 24-hour gyms and stuff. So some people end up having to resort to that too, just to take a shower every day. So I say those day resource centers are a great place to extend funding. That's not even a shelter. It's just a day center where people can come in and get like daily resource services when they're homeless. Now, do we see why those places are important? Because this Milwaukee story kind of made me upset, but in an empathetic way. You know what I mean? Because they did go to stand before a judge, and they might have even incurred a few charges. Because look, every state, that's another thing people don't understand. They just assume that DPS or CPS operates the same way in every freaking state, and that's not true. See, those child laws and stuff, child protection laws and stuff like that, vary, VARY, depending on what state you're in. I must give my reaction and commentary on this. Do people know that? So if you got 50 states or 50 plus states, and all of these service organizations have different rules or different, because I've just seen some of those organizations. I tried to tell somebody this too. For the most part, I'm not saying that all CPS and all those people be innocent. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, for the most part, they used to their number one priority was to try to keep families together, y'all. I know nobody probably wants to hear that these days with all of the different, news reports of unfortunate things going on with the children out here. But really, their main motive at the beginning, when CPS first came together in different states, it's not just to come to your house or come to your living situation and take your kids. So I'm really shocked, or I'm going to follow the updates on that Milwaukee couple with the 6 kids who just had their kids taken and them having to go to jail. I'm going to follow that story. This is why homelessness advocacy is important too. People be like, caseworker this, caseworker that. Not everybody obtains a caseworker while they're out there living on the streets. So it looks to me like they resorted to what the best they could, which was go stay in the storage. And it's just crazy, because they brought up some older charges. That's what I noticed. They end up bringing up some older charges, because that's one thing they're going to do. When you're being investigated about something they heard about some kids or what some kids might be going through, oh yeah, they're going through your background. Yep. Every time. And people know this too. That's why I say some people, to me, abuse those services, that's why they can't get to the kids that actually need the help in time. To me, you got people calling them when they don't need help and they're just being spiteful, and then the ones that actually need help, maybe by the time it gets to them, just like this Milwaukee family, they're already living in a storage unit, you see. And that's why I do advocate a lot about homelessness prevention, like preventative services, preventative avocation. What are we doing to prevent it when the family is stable? stable. Amy, thank you, poo poo. Thank you. Don't be so loud. That's my 2-year-old, y'all. Y'all excuse her in the background. Back to what I said, homelessness prevention. Because, see, once a person is already in that status or gets to that level of poverty, it's going to take a little while just to get out of that situation, right? You have to stabilize yourself, even homelessness, if it's possible to even say that. If people can try to fathom what I'm trying to say, you need some type of stabilization. We were talking about this on another segment just the other day, how just to remain in student status, whether you're a high school student or a college student, just to remain student status, you kind of have to be stable outside of that school somewhere. You need somewhere to do your homework. You need somewhere to eat, take a shower, get some rest. Student status is beautiful, but most students are human beings and they still have to provide for themselves when there isn't any class going on, right? Like I said, all schools have close hours, COSE. So where were the kids going? Now, according to this news report, they did not release at this time for these Milwaukee babies. They didn't release whether they were quote unquote in school or not, which is another thing I think needs to be modernized a little bit. I don't know why people be here in a quick when they see these news stories to say, well, was they in school? When they know we're in the age of homeschool. Not saying that every kid that's not in school is being homeschooled. But see, I know this for a fact. There are states that still keep a record of those kids. Once you withdraw them, they're going to ask a question on that form, on that withdrawal form. Okay, what school is your child finna go to? They don't just let you withdraw them now. Did people know that? Now, you might answer, okay, well, my kids are going to be homeschooled. At that point, they might ask you, what's the name of the homeschool or how you... The questions come depending on the laws in your state. Because we know not every state is probably homeschool friendly, but a lot of them are. We're just talking about modern day times now. A lot of states are homeschool friendly. They're homeschool states. Texas, Texas #1 on my list as an example. For sure. Like, states are not against that. The thing is, if you had more help, which I was saying that back then, years ago, it's once you withdraw them and say, okay, I make the choice to homeschool my kids, even if homelessness is the reason, or homelessness prevention, because you tell me how a person that's trying to overcome homelessness barriers really even has the time and the space and the energy to sit there and put hours into still trying to homeschool those kids. And those parents that's out there doing it, we respect you and shout out to you from You Will Make Your TV today. Because I didn't say it's impossible, but I said just imagine. I don't think any family should be forced to resort to homeschool. If you do that, do it because it's an option, it's a choice, or something that's more accommodable for your kids. Don't let it be your circumstances the reason that, like, you felt forced into that option. That's what I don't like hearing that families might be going through, right? The point of Crown Publishing Content when we first introduced our face and brand was to kind of more educate and inform parents about those resources that exist. Kind of like my last stream I did. Feel free to tune in to previously recorded segments just like these. My very last stream, I was talking about grants and scholarships that might be available for people in certain situations so their kids can still get proper education. But with this story, they're not releasing at this time whether the kids were in school or not. I mean, I don't know why people are more... Every time we hear these stories, like they say, oh, some kids were being neglected or we found some kids. One of the first things people ask is, well, were they in school? Okay, so since y'all are like that and y'all ask this about these news stories, Go deeper. Maybe you are on the right track. How are your kids going to school and going through something like that at home and the school ain't intervened to try to help the family? That's my question. Okay, if one of the kids did come to school and say, "Hey, Miss Jackie, me and my mom are living in a storage unit," me as a teacher, I would have took that student to the counseling office and let them talk for a while. But just because they are mandated reporters, once they have positions like teachers, any position where you work with kids, you usually have to sign a waiver or take a training that promote you to being a mandated reporter, which just means that you swear to report certain things if you notice a kid might be going through something. Maybe, I don't know how they're doing it, but you can't have schools doing this and still have so many kids going through homelessness behind the scenes. And then you just want to do a write-up. Well, the parent is obviously can't. No, like, since when? Like, how I remember schools back in the day, if you need something, say something. Didn't they say a closed mouth don't get fed? Parents, don't be scared to talk to these schools, because one of the first things they're quick to do is write up truancies and attendance and grade reports that your kid is failing and fault. They're going to let you know that every time. But the job is also to be mandated reporters. If my child come to school and tell you something we might need help with, we're not saying that's your responsibility. We know they're not your children, but as your job as a staff at some place like a school, you should be concerned about something like that. Because, educational rights are a whole thing today, and it's actually state law in most states in the United States that kids be at school. But I think they're trying to more cover up, because y'all see school this year for the 25, 26 years haven't even been in long. Literally. 2 months. How does a family end up living in a storage unit and school just started? That's why I would, if I would have looked into their story, if I was a detective or something, I would be like, what was this family's? I'm tired of them just doing it, taking people kids over temporary situations. This just my opinion, commentary, and reaction today. Like, to me, when I say temporary, things that are totally not only avoidable, but preventable with the proper resources. Yeah, it's just crazy, bro. Like, they're living in a storage unit. The news was quick to report, oh, they barely had light, and we found a bucket in it. I'm sure they had to use the restroom somewhere. They was just saying, no kids should be living like that, which I do agree. But the mother in the story was saying that they had started off in a homeless shelter somewhere out there in Milwaukee, and then they got discharged. So I wanted to speak on that a little bit too. Well, the knowledge of it, because a lot of people don't know how shelters really operate. Pretty much you usually get about 3 warnings. You know what I'm saying? 3 warnings about whatever it is. They're going to have chores, programs that you work. You're not just in there sleeping in the bed in a free room every day, but maybe that's how people thought it worked. They usually have parenting classes, job skills classes, just things that you can participate in. All of them operate different though, but they do, for the most part, want to see people up, around, moving, and trying to actually get out of their situation, not just laying in the shelter bed all day. I don't know why people thought that's what the homeless do. No, some of them even have a wake-up time. Like, I don't mean to compare it to jail or nothing, but they do. They turn the lights on at a certain time. They turn the lights off at a certain time. So I'm not saying I read the full details about why they might have been discharged, but shelters do be on that. Like, they will put you out. I'm just saying, you would think the ones with more than 3 kids, and you see they're a single mother or something, you would think you try to be a little more lenient or understand, hey, she's there by herself with her kids, okay? Yeah, your rules might be 3 write-ups and then we kick you out, but I don't think any shelter should be putting people out right around the time school just started and the person got 6 kids. I don't know what's up with that Milwaukee story, but for sure they just went in their background. It was like, oh yeah, we found out the dad did this and the mom had this in their background. Like, oh, okay. Because I say the backgrounds do matter. But see, you wouldn't even been checking their background had they not been in that storage unit with those kids. So it's kind of like that one situation opened up the door to them having this list of now child neglect charges, when clearly if you're staying in a storage unit with your kids, it's safe to say that they were trying. What, mama? It's just sad. I just thought I would give my commentary and reaction today on this story because I just saw it about 24 hours ago myself. I know one thing though, school ain't even been in that long. It's just September. Most schools everywhere start about August. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't even got through the rest of the school year. That's why I was trying to build myself up to talking about how at this point, yeah, the nation is in a homelessness crisis. And we get that part. But with most crises, there's usually things we start doing about it or the crisis doesn't change, right? Right? It's just crazy. Here, let me get your cereal. Here. Here, this is yours. Thank you. I'll get them for you. What'd you do with your bowl? But yeah, man, I just say don't wait till the second month of school to start. Oh, now we're throwing parents in jail because of their homelessness situations. That's just how it might feel or look to us, right? Like to me, a single woman with children should be just a priority. As long as those children are under 18, when it comes to resources. And I said single women for a reason because this couple, she actually was with her spouse. I was saying that's a little more. You see how people sit back and like compare or try to judge or compare the next person's situation to theirs. I think it's stupid to do because people don't even do it right. Don't you know a lot of people when they're homeless, they be out there by themselves with their kids? Not everybody be, I would say there might be a little safer or something when they do have the dads or the fathers there at the facility with the mom and kids. But I think they were saying they wouldn't even let the dad in. So he probably had already been living at the storage unit before the wife and the kids got there. You know what I'm saying? It's a crazy story. Some of these shelters, yes, I'm actually happy to see that just more states have men's shelters even available. You know what I'm saying? But since the LGBTQ new movement and laws passed, you do have a lot more co-ed ones or ones that allow women and children and men to stay there or single fathers. They're just have become a little more lenient and open to letting the men come in there and co-ed with the women with children. But then again, look how crime has risen in homeless communities too. It's just crazy. Now I'm not saying I'm blaming it on that, but yeah, you just didn't hear as much news stories on the news about homeless shelters under so much rap and fire and crazy stuff happening to them. To me, until you started saying, yeah, well now the men and the women can stay in them together. Like whose bright idea was that? At least if they're going to be in the facilities together, you need a whole co-ed protocol. Like women and children on this side, men on that side. And if we catch you on either of the opposite sides, you know, if I was a shelter owner, I'd be like, yeah, that's a whole reason for discharge. Even if you're a married couple, why can't the men stay on one side and the women on the other side? Because it is a temporary arrangement, right? It would be considered that anybody staying in the shelter. But that's the part of their story that touched me when the mom was trying to explain how they ended up in such a deplorable situation and living out of a storage unit with their 6 kids. She said, no, just recently I was in a homeless shelter. Ain't that crazy? And that's why I feel like follow-up case management is a whole thing too. Like you don't just help the family get off the streets. How about you check on them the first year or the first 6 months? Or the first 3 months after their transition, right? They could have got that new apartment and one of the kids got sick. Or I'm just saying, those type of random emergencies do happen. And since they are actively moving and pursuing parents and throwing them in jail over real emergencies that do happen, well, we must talk about it. Do these places even offer more long-term care or case management for a single parent or couples with family? Do they do that? I know in some states they do, okay? But these are the kind of questions you got to ask yourself. Like, people say, oh, you got to be careful and research places before you move there. Okay, well, the same thing applies to shelters, because I'm sure if that woman knew she was going to get put out, she probably wouldn't went there in the first place. Like, most people's goal is not to get put out or discharged from a shelter and they have 6 kids when they first come in there and sign the papers to get a room there. And it's crazy, I don't even know this couple, but look how strongly I advocate. They tried to say, well, the father, we found old charges of, what did it say? Not child abuse, but, what was it? Like some kind of SA stuff he supposedly had on his record. We want to be careful with who we judge with that too, because I just have seen a lot in life. And a lot of those people be telling the truth when they be like, oh, that charge is just on me, but I never touched the child. I believe some of them be telling the truth. It's nothing to stick that charge on anybody. Anybody, you get enough people to come together and just say, oh, yep, that person's an abuser. And then, boom, the charge is on them. And then it's just crazy. Like, to pretend that something like that can't be set up on somebody. Even if that was in the father's background, he clearly was still trying to be in his kid's life. His wife or girlfriend, whoever, baby mama, I wouldn't say she didn't mind, but obviously she's gotten past that part of his past. He was there helping her with her kids. I'm starting to feel like they just don't like to see fathers with the families while they're homeless. That's what I'm starting to think. I'm just being honest about it. Maybe they feel like because you're a man, your family shouldn't even be in a situation or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But that is a little bias to just start. I'm just starting to, it's like, I don't want to say too much, but it's starting to seem like they really rather see the women outside with the kids alone. Because every homeless person ain't out there with their kids, of course. But you do know some homeless families are just single mothers and children. For those that don't know, you're learning right here with me here at You Will Make It TV today on this live segment. Some are just single mothers with children. Others, they are couples with children. Some, they are single fathers with children. Some, they are single grandparents with children. Shall I go on? Some, they're single aunties or uncles, and they have custody of one of their nieces and nephews, and they're still trying to make a way. They went through a glitch or a struggling situation. They end up at the shelter with the child that they're providing for. But I just say, I don't agree with the whole co-ed shelters, like, because back in the day, from what I remember, it was just women and children's shelters. That's why it took a while for society to catch up and say, right, we need more men's shelters. It took a while. Ask men. They didn't always have, like, men's shelters out here for the men. I always thought that was strange. Because what if a man falls down on his luck? I mean, come on, man. Seriously, is there a place he can go and get some case management and get help with job training and get help with getting back on his feet, even if his issue is addiction? Let me tell y'all what statistics told me about addictions, why people try to pick out certain people and just, I don't know what new trend this is. But statistics still are there. They exist for anybody to go see any day. They just be wanting to speak on stuff. Baby, I'm going to tell you right now, the number is in like the millions of people who are surviving an addiction right now. Even if that addiction is not a drug. It might be some sugary food. It might be porn. It might be, because I'm going to tell y'all right now how God showed me there's no worser addiction than the next. He just looks at it as addiction. Okay? It's a whole reason the first commandment says what it says, have no God besides me. Or, you know, I need to be God above all other things in your life. Or how can you call anything your God at any given time, anything or any person or any entity your God, and you still got a million addictions? A million of them. Now, I'm preaching to myself, too. I think people think I come on here. No, I'm not talking to nobody specific when I come on here and do my topics. This is my work as a speaker. So sometimes there's things that I'm saying that also apply to me. Did y'all know that? Sometimes I go listen to some of my own segments. I never thought I would say that live, but yeah, some nights I'm not watching anybody else's YouTube channel but mine, and listening to not like how I sound or the sound quality or how many times I had to hit the mute button. I'm listening to the real wisdom and knowledge that has been equipped in myself just through personal experience and hearing and learning about the stories of others. And then it just leads you to have your opinion at the end of the day. That's all you can do. But as an advocate, it's a little more than an opinion. Your opinion leads you to actually begin to fight and speak up more about where you think things are broken in our system. We can all name a thing or two, but that was just my opinion about addiction for a second, because people often try to associate or tie the two together. I know people with addictions make 6K figures right now, and I'm not playing. So how dare they just try to associate that with homelessness and why people end up out there? It's so stupid to keep hearing people. It's like catch up with the times. The whole country has had an opioid issue, and even the presidents, several presidents, came out on national TV and told us this. So what you gonna do? Point a person out the street, a person in your community, a person in your apartment complex, a person in your neighborhood, and say, aha, look, let's hang up their flaws, they have an addiction. And all I can do is laugh at comments like that, because there's addiction is addiction. They be feeling like, well, mine ain't drugs, so it ain't worth talking about. Yeah, it is. What you addicted to? Some people, they're addicted to working out. Literally, they take too much that stuff. You know, the doctors be having to tell them about that. Don't take too much of those pills and stuff that make you buff. I forgot the name of them. They be doing it for muscle mass and all of this, like steroids. I think that's the word I was looking for. It's people addicted to those. It's people addicted to face lightening cream. They're going to use it every day until they feel like their face and skin is bleached the way they like it. I would say that's an addiction. There's people that get 1 million cosmetic surgeries a year. But don't worry, that's another category that actually is like talked about more these days. They just say that more young ladies look. It ain't even just young ladies. So Lord forgive me for using them for examples, because you got all kind of people having cosmetic surgeries these days. You don't have to be a woman. I'm sorry, y'all. You don't have to be a woman for that. But there are a mass number of people out there with a whole problem with getting facial structure and body structure surgeries. They don't know when to stop. You wouldn't say that's an addiction? And those people aren't homeless. Trust me, if you got money to go get a new body, you're not homeless. So we're not going to keep associating homelessness with addictions. It just doesn't make sense. It's 2025. If you see somebody need help with addiction, interventions are still real. You calling rehab centers are still real. And let me remind people, rehab centers have never been free. You have to have some type of funding, scholarship, or something. I think it is free, some of them, maybe for 30 days or something like that. Okay? But for the most part, I think what I heard about, those aren't free. Either their medical insurance pays for it, somebody is paying for that every time a person checks into one of those rehab centers. But I know I'm a good advocate for this topic, especially when it comes to people associating addictions with homelessness. Like I said, I'm just here to challenge that, because you got people with lots of money who have enough money to go get cosmetic surgeries 5 times a year. They're not dealing with homelessness at all, but that's still unhealthy. That's an unhealthy habit, bro. Filling yourself up with more and more silicone every week. Filling yourself up with more breast injections and eye lifts. And they like, well, we deserve to do whatever with our money. Well, keep your mouth closed about the homeless. You see? I'm just a realist at this point. That makes no sense. That just because people have, okay, yeah, if you earn it the right way, you're a hard worker. Imagine going to take your hard-earned money just to go invest it in something else that could short-term damage your health, something like cosmetic surgeries. People be whole addicted to those, but y'all only want to talk about drug addictions. We already got that understood. Trump been announced that. Biden been announced that. Obama been announced that. There is an opioid crisis. There's been one. And you talk to the people that survived the 60s and 70s, they're going to tell you there's been an opioid crisis. Come on, bro. And who you think doing all the opioids? You're funny to try to convince us that it's only the homeless. How the hell is it the homeless when they don't have no money? They literally don't have a money. They can barely afford to take care of themselves, to afford rent or utilities. So you mean to tell me the whole opioid crisis is only the fault of the homeless? Stop playing with us, bro. No, it is people, very successful people out there that do drugs and buy it frequently. They probably like, oh no, Arthur Taylor Sherry's putting us on the spot. That's y'all business. Just know. Us at the lower class level, we are aware of that too. So I'm just speaking up for more of those. Like, it doesn't mean carry on with your addictions. Don't let anybody tell you about it. No, but just be aware that there are 1,000,001 different addictions in the world. And that's crazy as hell to just say parents that you see in homelessness situations with their kids. That's the first thing come to your mind. Oh, yep, that young mother must be up here because of drugs. People had me laughing. I really tried to look at that realistically or take it serious, and even when I did, I still end up laughing at the end of the day because it's comical. But see, those with more private lives, to pay for those private lives, to keep those lives all covered up and private, they're not going to tell you how much they spend on a monthly budget on drugs, but I can assure you they do them. Any level of success you can think of, I don't care what career field it is, they still do drugs. Like, let's be honest. I just was wondering, do the president them know that? You're saying it's an opioid crisis. Well, it's not just the homelessness that do drugs. Some people say they do certain drugs just to help them, like, function especially when they're trying to keep up with their money. They got more money, right? They got more money. They're a millionaire or they're a billionaire. They have 1,000,000 things to do every day. So they just like to try to stay woke, and they try to take these not downers but uppers that kind of help them keep like, I got a lot to do, but I can't tell people that I ever needed some upper just to keep up with my own business. If anything, I just needed people to get out of my way a little bit, but I didn't ever need no strong hard drug to run a business, to operate anything in my life, really. It seems like the ones who offer it to you need you to take it. Let's be honest. It's called peer pressure. It's called, like, whatever they call it. So we're not going to sit here and just pretend like an opioid crisis happened and don't nobody know what's going on. It's so stupid. Don't nobody know what's going on. But some people do praise Trump the way they do at this time because he's seemed to exhibit trying to stop drug traffickers and get them out the country and put them where they need to be. Especially, I'm disappointed in the new age, honestly, sometimes, because since when did we see so many babies, though, already strung out on drugs before they even 15 years old? It's stupid. Yes, here at You Will Make It TV, we talk about generational curses and cycles and stuff a lot, and this is why I do. Even therapists, though, like psychologists, they call them cycles. That's why I use both words interchangeably, but they call them cycles. All I know is a cycle is something that goes around and around and around the same way and the same way, and it just doesn't stop, and it remains a cycle. If it has a stop, it's like, I forgot what they called it, like where it has a point and then there's a stop. It's a starting point and then there's a stop. A cycle doesn't have an effing stop. It just goes on and on and on and on. And it's amazing to me that even in the psychological world of career where they study that, even they know cycles are real. But I was wondering why they don't spend as much time investing in learning how to break these cycles, how to fight these cycles. They said these people get out of rehab and go right back to drugs. So obviously you have not found the all-in-all answer to help break cycles, period. Obviously they left that work more for the spiritual communities, and then you want to judge them. Why is a person getting more spiritual? Why are they looking in that avenue for how to stop a cycle? Well, at least they're doing something. Because that's not enough to just have the knowledge and the certifications and degrees that tell you that cycles are real. We all get that by this point. Where is the evidence that you guys really are looking for cures? And where are the success stories? That's another thing, because this is You Will Make It TV. Where is the success stories of people that can tell you this was a cycle in my generation, this was a cycle with my group of friends, this was a cycle with my children? Here's the evidence of the cycle. Here's the evidence that the work that I put in to break that cycle, and here's the evidence that the cycle actually broke. Where are those families in the world? I know they exist. It's a rhetorical question. Where are they right now? Somewhere living free from a cycle. I'm answering my own question because they broke the cycle. They're probably doing better than ever. But it just looks kind of fishy to be able to recognize a cycle and then see it, and you just tell people, well, it seems like you're suffering from a cycle. Oh, okay. Now what? Now what? Because, some of us with kids, okay, that's how they even get familiar with the cycle to begin with. Because a kid ain't going to know what's going on while they're a kid. They just might wonder why their life is the way it is. Like those 6 kids they just found in the storage unit. They can't control that. But it's not to say that if they don't start working on breaking that homelessness cycle right now with those kids, even though they're with CPS, one of them going to grow up and end up homeless. They're going to end up going down the same path that led their mother and father to being homeless. I guarantee it. And sometimes they don't go down that path. That's another thing I was finna speak on. If somebody just, because I feel like some of these cycles are intentional as hell. It's just, everybody got to look at that in their own life, though. We just thought a curse was something so strong it can't be broken. A cycle was something so prevalent, there's nothing nobody can do about it. Then you want to question and investigate those that look like they're at the brink of breaking one. Well, something needs to be studied about that person. Everybody in their family does this. Every friend they ever had does that. Birds of a feather flock together, and she's rebelling against what we've always told people about cycles. It's just stupid. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. You quick to say, put it in the textbooks. You got the life cycle, the animal cycle, the environmental cycles. There's all kind of cycles. So we get that they exist, but where is the evidence that people have really? Because see, just giving them some medicine to help when they're sick from an addiction is not enough. Like I said, it said 1% of people. Is this what I read about heroin? Heroin. It's just one drug out of all the different drugs that can get people strongly addicted. They said that drug right there, only 1% leave it alone forever after they become hooked on it. It's really, really sad. Yeah, we're just talking about, y'all probably like, what does their story have to do with you talking about addictions today? Y'all will see in 1 second. Because I bet they were another one of those families that were already... I didn't understand that part where the mom said the shelter had put them out. And I know that shelter sitting up there looking at that on the news. Oh, that's a client we just had here recently. What is she doing in jail? They should feel embarrassed. Because, like, how is your shelter helping people? You done put her out with 6 kids. I guess because they were so unbearable. Before she could get on her feet, she moved the kids to a storage unit, and now her face is being plastered on the news in the courtroom trying to answer for why she had 6 kids in the storage unit. If I was the shelter that she mentioned that she went to for help, I would be embarrassed as hell. Because how are you helping people? Throwing them out to they need to go question that shelter too. That's why I think that first year of intervention with families when they move out of those shelters are very important. I bet we would see the truth about a lot of people's lives, because you moving out is just the first step. Now you have to get back into the groove of living in society again, paying bills again. People just be like, okay, all your problems fixed. You're not homeless anymore. You got an apartment. Okay. Now they're going to have to use that same time length they were in the shelter. They got to make up for that time when they get that place. Everything they fell behind on. just because they were in there. Ain't that something, y'all? And people don't consider that. I say it should be absolutely mandatory for families to be followed or followed up with within the first year of them transitioning out of those facilities. Sorry, y'all. I had to take a pause break because I forgot I did a delivery order, and if you do not bring that in, people will steal your food. I'll be right back. I remember exactly where I left off and what I was talking about. Hold on, y'all. I left off saying that I feel like it should be like literally mandated law that when families, not a single woman or man who overcome homelessness with no kids, families, keyword, when families transition out of these homelessness centers, it should be absolutely mandatory for somebody to follow them like a caseworker. And I don't mean in a stalking way. I don't mean in some weird way where we're trying to see if she's criminal or he's criminal. Like, why? Where do they have time to be that as parents? And the ones that's out there doing it, they can't care too much about the kids. Like, come on, bro. I don't know. Because it's people that have given up their kids on their own. And shout out to you from You Will Make It TV. We're not going to judge you for that. That's a person who has awareness enough to know they might be struggling too hard to provide for their children. And trust me, a person doesn't need help knowing when they can't handle it no more. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But I would say they don't when it's their own kid. If they know things are extreme to the point where they like, you know what? I just want to give them a better life. And maybe that is what they're trying. Maybe that is the message they're trying to portray to a lot of parents today. Even if it is, it's wrong. But it's like, we feel like more of y'all should give y'all kids up. Like, what? You do know there are some that hang in through the rain, water, snow, hell, and back with their kids. Yeah. And their kids will never forget it either. They've been right there with them. No matter how far astray a child go, they know who been there for them. They know that who, no matter what their financial circumstances were, what their burdens were in life, they know the parents that's been there for them, no matter what their parent was going through. So I had to speak on that because I do see a lot of people that put themselves in the shoes since the age of social media today, where people can openly comment their opinions. They be like, I think such and such doesn't deserve a child. But then they wondering why so much judgment is falling on a lot of people right now too. Because like, who are you to say that? When God gives and takes away. That's just what some of us believe in though. And to me, it makes more sense. You think a person don't know how to drop their child off at the fire station or youth shelter somewhere when they can't do it no more? I'm tired of seeing patterns of, it's just like all of them got to have a drug problem or a mental health problem. That it just seems to be a repetitious, same storyline for the kids. For the families that fall into the cycles of poverty. It's okay to fall into the cycle of poverty. Like, how am I trying to say what I'm trying to say? Let's say you go through poverty once or twice. That's understandable. For it to become a whole cycle, I don't think people should be like punished for that, because the cycle might be bigger than them. You know what I mean? But it's not yet that we have incorporated spiritual perceptions and viewpoints in the justice system. I know that the foundation, they talked about God and the foundation of the Constitution and stuff like this, but we really need to bring him back in the courtroom, and I'm not playing. It's just my opinion, right? It's just my strong opinion. Bring God back in the courtroom, America. Bring him there, because he's actually more merciful and gracious than people would think. And then he's actually more of a judgment executor than people would think too. Judgment bringer, judgment executor, and justice bringer. Because to me, that's a whole warning sign. When more kids and families are falling into the cycle of homelessness and poverty, it's time to bring God in the courtroom too. When you're judging the parents about why these cycles seem to just remain prevalent, because I don't know what they thought. What do you think a person go through when you kick them out the shelter? I just want somebody to answer that. Like, what do you think they was finna go through? Like I said, I wonder how that shelter was looking when they seen that news story of one of the women they just had there with her 6 kids, and they know they put her out. Make them take accountability too, because like the whole parents, they in jail. They're being prosecuted and charged and stuff. So, okay, go back into that mother's history, because a lot of, that's why we call it cycles. You can see parents have good streaks, parents with multiple kids, and then why is it they suddenly fall? Any parent with multiple kids that can show proof, look at this good streak we had for 5 years, and then suddenly an emergency happened, and this is the crisis we fell into. To me, that's a different situation versus a person's pattern stay the same, stay the same, stay the same, stay the same. I think shelters should not, if it's not like a serious reason and a woman is there with her 6 kids, why are you putting her out? And I mean, a serious reasons like, oh, we found a weapon in the room, or we found, because stuff like that, contraband, they don't even allow in shelters. For those that didn't know, they try to keep it a safe community and environment as much as possible, especially if it's the kind that has children there. Because not every shelter is for women and children. Some are just for children. Let me break this down for people. They have shelters specifically for children, like Lena Pope. Lena Pope, for those that's heard of that place, or other youth foster centers, there are shelters specifically for children 18 and under, okay? Then there's shelters specifically for women. Then there's shelters specifically for women and children. Then there's shelters specifically for men. And then there's shelters for newly released from jail men and women. See, it's just so many different kinds. Y'all just be like, oh, shelter. That person was in a shelter. Make sure you research. If you're going to go that far to be brave and bold enough to talk about somebody being in a shelter, research what kind it was they was in. It's a million different shelters. And they've always been known to be like temporary situations for people. So while one person would make that a whole subject topic is crazy. Like just about a particular family or person, that's just crazy. And our hearts, mine does, it burns within knowing, maybe mother and father had nobody else to call. Because like I'm asking you guys out there in society, why are more people living out of storage units? Why are parents getting arrested for it when they got kids in there, but the other ones, they'll just kick them out or something? Like, oh, okay, you're going against the room. You see, that's a crisis. But maybe they just not going for that in Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? They just not. Some places are stricter than others, and they want to know. They want to prosecute all those they find out. So I guess this is true what they were saying about just more policing homeless communities. Y'all just thought that was the areas with tents, huh? Y'all just thought that was shelters, huh? I guess public storage units would apply to homeless communities at this point, you know? I want to really give my raw opinion and commentary about something, like my opinion when it comes to storage units and people living out of them. You see, we all have a heart, or we want to mind our business and not care if a person is staying in a storage unit or not, but it can be dangerous for those who are literally the other people that are paying for their units and expecting their stuff to be safe every time they come back. Locked up, safe, they're not living there. Because let's remember, a storage unit place is a place of business. It's not a shelter. It's not a... and I'm not even being funny saying this, but this is coming from the mouth of somebody that literally has had one of my units broken into. And no, I was not living. I wasn't living at the damn storage unit. So what do you mean? It makes you concerned about, you know what I'm saying, what's now in the environment. And the time frame I'm talking about, it was like definitely the pandemic. So I know people were staying out of them storage units. I might not know which ones. I just know the one had my storage at. But I do think it was probably like people that just hanging out around there that probably shouldn't have been there or something. Because it's very rare you hear a story of somebody like storage unit. And what's crazy, not all my stuff was missing. The payment had been paid for the month. The lock was on it. And really, to be honest, I don't know. Storage units, companies kind of concern me. Because when I went in there with my concern, like, hey, I'm just trying to let y'all know. Maybe I was young, because I think with anybody else with theft, they just would have called the police. Or if they noticed something missing that they remember they left in a storage unit, they would have called the police. But it was crazy how everybody tried to play me for crazy right there in the storage unit office. See, and that's why I'm using that for an example to remind people that's why they don't want people sleeping in them like that. We're not saying you're bad people because you're sleeping in them, but people have had their stuff broken into, vandalized. They want their customers to feel safe when they come to their storage units. And how are they going to feel that way? And the whole hallway is filled with homeless people in them. But that is kind of common sense. You can't have thought you were going to get by with having 6 kids in her. I think she might have been going through a little depression or something. Because they obviously had a little minor baby, like an infant too. And that's probably where they really came down her neck. Like, yeah, we understand the homeless situation, but, when it turned into neglectful looking situations, they do have to intervene. A mother going to work and leaving her state age approved kids at home while she goes to work is not against the law. But leaving them in a storage unit is. Okay, then most shelters, they actually do not advocate for, unless they're over a certain age, they don't advocate for the kids being able to stay there while you're at work. But they will tell you in every case meeting every week while you're at the shelter that you need to get a job and you need to go to work so you can get out of that situation. So it's like a never-ending battle, really. I always thought it was smarter anyway. Like, you're a shelter, shouldn't you have child care right here? Because you know where people coming from. You know that people are trying to get their documents together, get their addresses together, get back stable. How can any shelter that call themselves a women and children shelter not provide child care but come down the parent's neck about what their kids are doing while the parent is at work when their child is state age approved age to stay at home alone while they parent at work? Just so Mr. President and the politicians and all of them in the back can really understand, because maybe some of them ain't been through it. They just the lawmakers. They just give out funding and stuff. They don't know what people really going through. How can you say, oh, by law, 13 and up can stay home alone while their parent go to work? Not if you got stupid criminals out here that's watching people, waiting for them to go to work so they can attack somebody's child. Some of this stuff seems so common sense. It's like, why do I have to speak on it? But you can use me, God. Because maybe people they need to hear it raw, unfiltered, the truth. You have all these state-approved laws like, 12 and older can stay at home alone. Some of our kids wasn't even 12 all this time till recently. So they kids are just now, probably not even just mine, but a lot of people kids, they'll be 12 this year. They'll be 12 next year. They was 12 last year. Just as parents out there, especially with us 90s babies, child care and stuff was obviously more plenteous, child care assistance and those type of resources. And there was still parents who didn't qualify for those child care resources where they get a discount or a percentage that's being paid. Thank you, baby. So their kids can go to child care while they work. I heard one lady's story. She had to quit her job. She had a whole full-time job, y'all. She was in a shelter. She had a full-time job, y'all. Okay, keep up with me. Before she came to the shelter, she had a full-time job, okay? So she goes to the state website and applies for child care assistance. This was before all this funding and stuff was being cut. So she calls and she does the application. They tell her how to do the child care application. Not this Milwaukee lady, but just another story that I heard in life. And they told her, well, ma'am, you don't qualify for child care assistance. She said, what do you mean? I'm in a shelter. I got a full-time job. I got to keep my job. And they told her, they told this single mother of 5+ kids too, this situation, they told her her income was too much for assistance. A mother who was able to clearly prove she wasn't receiving any child support, and if she was getting government assistance, it was limited because she has a job, okay? I'm telling y'all, they're telling people, get a job, and then you don't need child care assistance. You don't need SNAP. But see, by the time they get their paycheck and groceries in the house these days, you don't have any money left for it. That's just groceries. You ain't even paid the light bill, nothing else. You don't have any more money for child care. Do you know how much child care costs? But they denied her child care assistance, saying she was making too much. So this is what this lady did. She quit her job. She had to quit her job So pretty much she pretty much resigned from her job just to qualify to get daycare for her 5+ kids. And I can't make this up. And then they approved it. That's what's crazy. Once she came in there with an actual resignation letter proving that she didn't have a job, they cut the daycare on. Ain't that crazy? And then when they cut the daycare on, she just went back to work. It's crazy. At the very same job. Even her job didn't understand why she had to do what she had to do. It was crazy. Like, we just didn't see you for 2 weeks. And you know that 2 weeks hurt her pockets. You see what I'm saying? You was already a mother of 5, but you had to quit your job for 2 whole weeks just to get child care assistance. That's crazy. Come on, mama. Your food's right here. Good job. But see, people don't understand these things. You know what I'm saying? They just like, oh, it must have been addiction or you're irresponsible. That's crazy to pretend like the system isn't broken a little bit, bro. But you're quick to prosecute some parent in court. I mean, because it's just some things you can't overlook. There's parents out here quitting their job just to qualify for a little more help. Because if you're a single parent, you need somebody to watch the kids. But look, now when they get old enough to actually watch themselves while you go to work, people want to play a game where they trying to make you look negligent. That person can be at work, the store, the bank, any errand they need to run. That's state law. If your kid is over a certain age, they can legally sit at home by themselves. But look at America today. My question is, if they can legally sit home alone by themselves while the parent go to work, like y'all said, if they over a certain age, why are still so many kids coming up missing, abused, hurt? Come on, man. That's just the way that they said. Oh, 12 and older, they can sit home alone. Okay, maybe they need to change that. I actually hope here soon we see more states just offer free child care. You're going to see a whole lot of people thrive. First of all, that opens up more employment. It's not just about giving free child care to families. It's about how that would open up more employment for child care facilities alone. If you started something like free and reduced. They got free and reduced lunch. How about free and reduced child care? So we see less kids missing on the missing posters. Free and reduced after school programs. Free and reduced community advocacy programs for the youth. So you see less of them missing. Because if they're not in the streets and running the streets and they're into kid things, how does that happen? So I was sick of the group of people that's sitting behind in the bleachers talking about, I never seen so many kids run the streets today. They just say anything. Well, did you see what's happening with the economy and how more parents are trying to keep up with the demand? So they're at work more, they're busier more. Even if they're entrepreneurs, they're busy. They got bills to pay, debt to pay, and futures of kids to think about. So yeah, you would be more busy. My thing is, why they supposed to be at work getting all this money to keep up with the demand of the economy? Why aren't the kids safe? That doesn't look good. As a nation, it just doesn't look good. But you're quick to throw them in jail when you find them in a storage unit with a parent. I just was kind of disappointed to see that. But once again, that's the operations of the Milwaukee state at this time. That story was out of Milwaukee. But I was paying attention to where they happened too. Because, I don't know, you would think CPS could have just moved them to a new shelter. No, they whole got criminal charges. So I'm sorry, that couple's story seems a little set up. You could have simply moved them to a new shelter. But no, you got them in the courtroom explaining why they got kids in the storage unit. It's just, it can't get no more humiliating than that. It's crazy. When she telling y'all she had just got kicked out of a shelter. And they do that. They will kick you out. If you're not, quote unquote, following their rules, guidelines, and protocols, because all shelters have their own programs. These type of workers need to be held accountable to me because When they kick out a homeless family, you don't know what that family finna go through. It make you wonder why they be kicking them out. It need to be more serious reasons than what they be talking about. We understand certain things. Come on now, if you're just not following the program guidelines, you're not. And then we understand you putting people out. But over little petty reasons, like somebody just wanted to see that person put out, and then that family end up on the news because they was living in a storage unit, it just seems weird. Like, almost set up. Where else was she supposed to go? That's another one of my questions. Like, where were the kids' families? And I guarantee you them kids finna go with family members now. If they don't prove my point, suddenly family appears. Families of the father, family of the mother. Suddenly they're all available and they appear after the parents is finna go to jail for clearly they weren't intending on raising their kids in a storage unit forever, I'm sure. But it's like, why they couldn't just place them in a new shelter though? Like maybe a family shelter together? It's weird. Now suddenly all these family members and friends of the couple gonna see that story on TV, and now they're available to take the kids in. Not that I'm against it, but it's like, where do these families be? That's what the judge should have been at. Okay, where y'all families at? Why did you end up resorting living in a storage unit? Them kids didn't have no other family? Because suddenly the families appear after the parents go to court. Something seems set up-ish about that. Oh, we'll take the kids in. She's in jail now for living in a storage unit. She's in jail now for living in a storage unit. We'll take the kids in. So you didn't know she was in a storage unit? You didn't know she was in a homeless shelter? You didn't know she was living out of her car? Well, a lot of parents, they are quiet. They don't call the whole family. That's what I'm trying to tell people about modern day times, too. Shelters, they do these little entry surveys sometimes, like kind of in your business, but not really. But sometimes they just do surveys. I guess they trying to keep up with, like, I don't know. It just be like, that's one of the first things they gonna ask you, because they try to keep those places and spots at those places reserved for people that have absolutely, I'm talking about you at ground zero, you have absolutely nobody else to help you. Literally, that's what shelters are for. I mean, well, they used to be for, like, you have nowhere else absolutely to go. You have absolutely no money to get a hotel room, motel room. You have absolutely, because we always thought going to go get maybe a nice hotel room is even better than having to take your kids to the shelter. But when you got too many hands and fingers and ears and mouths and noses in your business, they can try to make that look like anything, okay? But I would still say, like, because some of these extended stay suites, they come with a stove. I can tell you because I've done it before. It comes with a stove. It comes with a washer and dryer there at the hotel facility. Now, these are extended stay hotels, not rinky-dink motels, but I'm not judging any parent to have to do what they have to do. It's still a better environment than taking your kids to a whole shelter where you don't know nobody. And still, even when you have families staying in the hotel rooms, you don't always have their kids being taken because of that. That's not a reason to take somebody's kids. But yeah, they'll try to get you put out of hotel rooms too, because hotels, they have rules too. You know what I'm saying? One actually left a letter on the door one time. I was laughing. Let me tell y'all what this letter said. It said, "We are not a shelter." I'm not playing, and I have every receipt. I was paying by the day. And they was like, "We are not a shelter, and we're going to have to ask you to leave after 30 days. I probably will come back around to that because I thought it was stupid. I thought it was ignorant. I thought it was just really stupid. I even thought it was a joke. So I took the letter up to the front desk and I said, "What is this? Like, never in my life, when I want to get a room and use it for however long I want to use it, because see, a room is not some government assistance paying it or housing. When have you heard of housing paying for a hotel room for somebody? Maybe some programs out there do that, but I ain't never had that kind of assistance. That's all I'm saying." So I went in there. I'm like, "Hey, did y'all leave this on my room door?" And they was like, "Yeah, we're just not letting people stay in these. I think what it was, they saw I had children and they just didn't want us there. So you never know how people's situations. I feel like you should bring that type of stuff up when you get in a bind so bad. Any parent, any struggling parent, you get in a bind so bad, you at a storage unit. Well, you better make sure the judge know you had hotels trying to tell you you couldn't stay longer than 30 days. The judge might say, oh, I know. We the one put the law into effect. That's crazy. But are you telling that stuff on the news media then? Make that just as loud and clear when you exhibit somebody's struggle that they had to stay in a storage unit. Not me. I'm just speaking up for that family that's on the news right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you plaster that just as loud that you have shelters and hotels literally evicting people. Literally evicting people. Yeah, I would say it's a homelessness crisis when your shelters and hotels are evicting people for any weird reason they find liable to do it. But they don't want to be in a news story giving a statement about why they put them out once the family got to go to jail or something end up happening to one of the family members. They don't want to answer no questions. You go in there, hey, this family was just at your shelter 3 months ago. Why are they in a storage unit? They're going to tell you, because we only allow temporary stay, or we put them out, or we needed to make room for new shelter clients. That's crazy. I knew I wasn't tripping. I wish I still had that letter. I did try to keep up with it for a long time, just as an advocate. They didn't even know whose door they was putting it on. Like, do you know I'm a homelessness advocate? That don't mean you can't tell me nothing. It just means make sure you know what you're doing when you do it. And I told them right there at the desk, I said, I had actually this motel I'm talking about, they owe me money to this day. And like I said, I still got things to come back around on. You know what I'm saying? You quick to put a letter on the door talking about, hey, you can't stay longer than 30 days. Like you're a goddamn apartment complex or a rental property. Last I checked, like I told them, motels work like this. As long as I pay the money by 11, the next morning, I have another day here. So I know what people out there going through, because that was like 2 years ago, but I remember it happening. And I was a single mother with children. You don't come put a letter on my door talking about I got to go in 30 days. But I handled my own self very well at that time, and I'm saying it publicly. They still owe me money to this day, because the last day I was there, I paid money that morning, because you got to pay by 11 every morning. I took my kids to school, paid the money. Oh, that's another thing about me. When I stayed at hotels, my kids were still going to school. My baby was still going to daycare. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they thought with their opinions, but these are the facts. And the school was aware. I'm one of those parents. The school is going to be aware if my kids are attending your school at a public school. You're going to be aware of my living situation if it's a situation like that, because what we're not going to do is play the game where, oh, we just saw them coming to school and they look sad and tired and depressed, and we knew something was wrong with the mother. Yeah, because I tell y'all, when I enrolled them or whenever they got there, I probably told you I was staying out of a hotel. I don't mind telling any teacher, principal, counselor about that, because like what? Anyways, I paid money that morning after I dropped them off at school before I was finna go to work. Then I came back an hour later. I was like, hey, actually, I found somewhere else to go. They didn't even believe it. It was such a miracle. I said, yeah, I found somewhere else to go right now. Can I get my money back? And I bet it was like $80-something, like $86 a night or something like that. And I had just paid it. And how about they denied me my money back? Literally. I know they still owe me, so I'm not letting that go. $80 is a lot of money. Right now, I can use $80. My birthday is next week. So they was like, we're going to call the manager and see if he approves. They didn't just flat out deny it. They was like, we're going to call the manager and see if we can give you your money back. So I said, oh, okay, call me back and tell me what the manager say. They're going to say, the manager said, we can't give your money back. I just hope they're ready to be publicly humiliated then, like they tried to humiliate me, because make sense. You put a letter on my door saying I can't stay longer than 30 days. God blesses me with another place to go. So that last day I was there, I said, since I haven't stayed a full day and I just paid you an hour ago, can I get my money back? Clearly God just opened another door. I got somewhere to go. They was like, no, he said we can't. Okay. And people be thinking because a year passed or 2 years passed, you forgot what they said or something. That's okay. That's just how I operate. I ain't forgotten that. What? And you were a business establishment? And never in my life had a hotel told me how long I can stay somewhere. As long as I'm paying the money, it's usually like they appreciate that you're a guest, because guess what? Your business can get shut down too. You have no money at all if people find out you were just trying to push one single mother out to the street, because you better have a good reason, because there's people out there staying in storage. And the mother was actually paying every morning on time at 11 o'clock. Because, when you just got rent, it's just due once a month. At a hotel room, just know I'm a good candidate for this topic, because I've paid rent 101 ways. And I don't mean as far as the money, I mean the living arrangements. Like if it's an extended stay hotel, now an extended stay hotel will let you stay. That's why it's called an extended stay hotel. That was the one I was describing. Come with a stove, microwave, a whole refrigerator unit, so you can actually have food through the month while you're paying the room. It's going to have a washer and dryer on site, so you can keep yourself and your kids clean while you're there. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I've even stayed at ones that was so nice. They had breakfast every morning. I'm a good advocate when I'm telling y'all. And I thought, of course, when you're going through the struggle, you don't look at it as special or nothing. But you never know who on the outside looking in saying, man, that's a strong mother. Or that's a smart mother. At least she picked the extended stay hotel. Man, they had big, huge waffles, pancakes, oranges, eggs, oatmeal, grits every morning, as long as the girls got down. Me and the girls came down there by 9 o'clock. And this wasn't no shelter. This was just an extended stay hotel. I can't make this up. That just was a perk of staying there. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast. They did not do free meals all day, so nobody misquote me. But the breakfast was free. Is for your room every day. What y'all mean? So it doesn't. When you talk about rent to me, God already know the different avenues and paying rent to anybody, whether it was a landlord, a motel owner, a hotel, extended stay hotel owner. They've never had bad things to say about Miss Tedda Sherry Whitney. Sometimes you go there. I've heard some people go rent a room just for peace too, and they got a home. They got a whole home just to go. They didn't even go on vacation. That was their vacation. A hotel room with a jacuzzi, sliding doors, what's that called? Room service. Some people, I don't know. I know that there's a community and group of people that have tried to ruin homelessness. It just seemed like those properties where people would go, or those organizations or businesses, they would go to get help. I just feel like in the past 3 years, those type of places have been attacked. For example, I had never in my life heard of a motel room telling me when I gotta go when I hadn't did nothing ever in my life. And I'm paying the money. I just wanted them to know who they were talking to. I looked them dead in the eyes. Just, are you sure you want to tell me right now you can't give me my money back and I'm trying to check out? I just paid you an hour ago. Oh, well, once we, even if you would have told me it's going to go back to my card, because I know sometimes they take 7 to 10 days and all that. That would have been a better answer than just telling me you can't get my money back. And these people out here ain't got nowhere to stay. Now, now I feel bad because I left that room and had paid for it. Just because they didn't give my money back don't mean I could have probably blessed somebody with that room for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say a homeless person happened to be walking, because I am that type of person. Somebody did tell me to be careful being that kind of like gracious and open to people though. Because once a room is in your name and you try to help somebody like that, they could do anything stupid in the room to make you look bad. So it's kind of hard to help people like that. Yeah, I wish I could have. I just would feel better about the situation even if I knew somebody could have used the room that night. But to my understanding, they just declined my money. I turned, giving me my money back. I turned the room key back in and everything. Packed all my stuff up out the room. But you telling me you can't get my money back? How? When I'm checking out. So yeah, them be a little fishy. And like I said, it's a whole reason that people do fight and advocate for their rent and mortgage every month. Cause maybe people think hotels are more convenient or something when we live like that because you don't have a light bill or Wi-Fi bill. I say it is actually going through your homelessness a little more comfortable because I've already did it. These extended stay hotels, they have jacuzzis, pools, a workout, free breakfast in the morning, free Wi-Fi, didn't have a light bill, so you just had people mad about that. Sometimes I swear I feel like people be jealous of my whole struggle, bro, because of the way God hand be on us through the struggle. Like it wasn't promised that I wasn't going to struggle, but I was definitely blessed through every struggle, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It don't matter if it was Christmas time, the summer, the middle of the year, okay? It just seemed like God had my back through each and every struggle. You got those like, oh, she's a fake believer. There's nothing fake about that. There's nothing fake about my struggle, and there's nothing fake about that. I have whole evidence. God's hand was on me. You can say fake Christian all you want to, but then when the person one of they struggle, we're not talking about rumors because rumors ain't never been facts. We're talking about facts and receipts. I just haven't went there publicly, but God was definitely there with me through each and every struggle. They want to make it like, well, it was a single mother. Yeah, you can make a single mother look like anything, right? She has priorities. She has things to do. Her kid need every day. Who is that? You shouldn't be watching that mother, her house, her business, unless you trying to help. Since when was it easy, quote unquote, to be a single parent? That's retarded, bro. Gotta make my statements make sense. If you're going to cut funding, school programs, daycare, what do you think you're doing? You're pretty much slapping the parents in the face and say, hey, take care of your kids on your own. We don't care what you got to do. You better go to work. That looks negligent. You want to talk about negligent? That's negligent as hell. But you want to be the first one in line to make sure you see that person prosecuted when they went to work and something happened around their property while they was at work. I'm disgusted. If you was really trying to prevent things happening to kids at their own properties while they go to work, you wouldn't be cutting for daycare and after school programs and stuff that kids have always had to go to while their parents at work. Because, some parents work overnight too. That's another thing, another situation where kids might be at home by themselves just so the parents can pay the bill. Now, how you going to comfortably go to work to an overnight shift and it's whole sex it's out here? It's just a question that I'm tired of holding in. You got people that stay lurking, stay pocket watching, and you just supposed to go to work to an overnight shift and trust that your kid's okay at home all through the night. I'm not one of those parents, so I'd rather us go through the earth, wind, and fire together through the struggle before I'm willing to just like, well, honey, your daughter's old. Your son is old enough to stay home. He's 13 now. You can go to work. You don't need a babysitter. You don't need any. You can just go to work. That's not even realistic. Yeah, you can go, but no, it's not realistic to call a person lazy. And it's like tons of evidence of every time she turned her back to try to go to work, somebody plotting something, somebody trying to look and see where they can get in, and her kids are at home while she trying to go to work. Because, people could say, well, no, they should be at school. Okay, even if they weren't homeschooled, and let's say after school, schools have closed hours, okay? So they would still have to come home. That's where like serious watchers, I'm going to call them that for now. Because God has watchers and earth does too. But the watchers, we've been concerned with that. Because you on TV advocating, oh, all these parents need to go to work. That's why they living out of storage units and living out of their cars. They just need to go to work. I'm telling y'all what it is. You want them to go to work, but the child abuse cases have actually increased. Missing child cases have actually increased since you told people to go to work and don't worry about the kids. That's weird. That's weird. No, you should be concerned, like, know that your kid is at a designated place, that they're going to be safe. Because how do you have peace at work for some company every day and you don't know where your child is? So everybody's situation different. If somebody tell you they child dealing with mental health, you can believe them or not, but it would change the whole dynamic of their circumstances. Just one child with mental health, and some, all of their kids got ADHD, or all of their kids deal with autism. What do you mean? This is the day of today. We didn't ask y'all to put extra preservatives in the food and stuff that was going to cause the ADHD, but now you don't have an answer for why you don't have enough resources to help these children while the parents are at work. Oh, but you can add medications and foods and ingredients in the food where the baby's being born with, I ain't gonna say new mental health crisis, but an increase in genetically created mental health issues. Literally, some of these kids came out with autism. Do people understand that? They came out with a speech impairment. They came out the womb with ADHD. Do people understand that? And that's why I was talking about that on my last segment. Those are the parents that's been speaking up lately. What do you mean you cutting school funding? Or what do you mean you cutting after school care? My child's already disabled. My child's already in a wheelchair or something. Now where the child supposed to go so I can go make all this money? So leave people alone when they become entrepreneurs. When they find work that allows them to provide finances for themselves and children to where they don't have to leave the kids at home. I know the devil mad at me, boy. I know he is. Because he thought that same cycle was going to continue where the parent is chasing the money so hard that she can't see her kids. I already knew what the devil was thinking. But one thing about being 10 steps ahead, nobody ever announces it. I already knew what he expected me to do. One of the best things you can know about your enemy is what they expect you to do. You see what I'm saying? That could really be you too. It's a whole reason they expect you to move a certain way. You're a single mother like the rest of them, so we expected this, but that don't mean your expectations will be met when you can't even meet the expectations of the low income right now and the poverty stricken right now. But you want to talk about expectations. It's crazy. I don't know who I noticed. I never said names anywhere through this segment. And a good thing about when you tune into You Will Make It TV segments, we never have to call out nobody's name. If anything, we'll use certain stories for an example or to shine light or to get our point across. But we don't call names over here on You Will Make It TV on my other channel, Crime Publishing Content, either. We might bring up a person's story or something like that if it's a celebrity, because everybody be talking about them and they trying to get creative about, well, we want to sue everybody. Donald Trump is first in line to do it, suing people, shutting their businesses down and everything if they speak on something he feel like it shouldn't be spoken. I'm sorry, sir. Anytime we talk about the well-being of kids while parents at work, you can't shut people down from talking about that. And it's crazy over the years, just me speaking as a single parent, you've trusted people that knew you were at work. They knew what you're going to do when you drop the child off. Come on, bro. Whether it was a daycare, a babysitter, a nanny, it doesn't matter. They are usually aware of what you finna go do. Hey, I'm going on a date. Hey, I'm going to work. Hey, I got to go run some errands. You don't even owe them that information. They should just take the money and watch the kid. But usually a good parent, a responsible parent, is going to let them know what they're finna go do when they leave that child in the care of that person or that facility. Yep, it's going to be on my record. I ain't never just left somewhere and the person didn't know what I'm finna go do. And my kid is in the environment. Unless it's my own house, because then we don't owe you an explanation. I just lock my door. My child is of state age to be at home alone. Nobody should be fucking with them. And I hate to be so blunt about it, but yeah, Boy, if only y'all knew. Because I could have had all sons. I would still feel the same way. It ain't nobody and where your workplace is, but you quick to tell people to go to work. Make it make sense. Okay, now when I have that job and I'm working and I'm getting this money, why would you want to know my shift and my address and where you can, oh, the kids at home? Oh, yeah, and by law, old enough to be there. Watch who you watching. Know who you watching. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. And that go for any parent. Because then when they in a storage unit, you want to say you want your blanket? Let me go get it. Then you want to say they're neglectful and they didn't have no finances. A person with money is not staying at no damn storage unit, living in there with their 6 kids. These be the ones you go look up later. Oh, yeah. They used to be this. They used to be that. Why is it always what they used to be? If you saw they was that, you should have stepped in and helped with the kids then, don't you think? And I'm so tired of this broken system. Because that's hurtful. Even though I didn't know those 6 kids, I'm sure they parent was doing everything in their will to keep it from getting as bad as them having to stay in a storage unit. Let's not pretend you didn't cut funding off for a lot of child programs this year. We already knew what that was going to lead to. Less parents being able to go to work. Imagine telling your employer, yeah, I got to quit today because, I want to make sure my kids are safe at home. Well, how old are your kids? Then you tell them, oh, my kids is right there about teenager age. Well, why can't your kids stay at home? Why you come do this shift, Teddy Sherry? Well, obviously, ask the people who like to watch your house. Why you trying to go to work? It's stupid because I'm using these scenarios because how many parents are going through that right now? They try to do night shift, day shift. Most would do day shift like me. When my girls had first started elementary school, I did day shifts only to where I would be off either right when they got out of school or a few hours after, because child care's after school programs, they'll stay open as late as 6 o'clock, 5:30. Even the Boys and Girls Club, I've been with some of them where they stay open to 8 and 9 o'clock. The more you offer your community, the more the community can work and help pull money and keep money in the community. It's like people forgot that. You attacking 1 or 2 people, let me not say that. But like I said, if you doing more, if the balance gets unbalanced and you're doing more attacking of people than actually trying to put people back to work and keep money in the community, then you can't be shocked when the community begins to fall apart. The less you put in your community, the less you're gonna have in it. Let's be honest. I don't know what this new scheme is of see, people felt like they first noticed it during the pandemic when they was trying to tell people what to do with their kids with the vaccines and the mask. Okay, there was some kids got whole rolled up and sent home just because they didn't have the mask all the way on their face. We already knew it was some bullshit brewing up then, because we just had never came at like that before about our kids. No parents that raised kids during the pandemic came at that like that before. Oh no, you can't come in the building. It's a pandemic now. You can't sit in a classroom. You can't eat lunch with them. We had never heard that before in the history of America. So you have to excuse us that found that strange. And then it didn't even get better. Like, that's why I do advocate for child tax credit. I hope they bring it back very, very soon. And every other program that was helping families with children, low-income families with children during the pandemic. Why just do that? Okay, so that was a pandemic. That's a separate crisis. Homelessness is a crisis too. When do we plan on cutting these programs back on to help prevent homelessness? I feel like I'm preaching, but I'm not even trying to. Like, this stuff needs to be said. That don't even make sense. You cut off funding for child care, so the parent, then you say, yeah, now let's see how you're going to go to work. I think some people, maybe they just sitting back like, let's see how creative the low income is. Now let's see how they go to work. Like, this a joke. But don't get mad if God step in and show you, hey, the whole time them was my people you was effing with. We saw what you were doing. What a random time to start cutting off it's different if you just say, oh, no free child care, no after school care for illegal immigrants. We would have understood something like that. No, this was an attack at your own people, at our own nation. That makes no sense. If I was the president and I'm trying to get everybody back to work, we definitely are going to make sure that there's programs, after school programs. I mean, like I'm from a place where 24-hour childcare do exist. I promise to God it do. It's open 24 hours because this specific childcare facility I'm talking about, they understood that parents work different shifts throughout a day and they were open 24 hours. I can't make this up. Those that's from where I'm from, they know I'm not lying. We got 24-hour daycares in Texas. We really do. Or some that stay open at least to midnight. I cannot make this up. You need that in every state. And I'm not saying that everything gonna be perfect, but at least you have you have that to show as a nation. Like, yeah, we incorporated ways from the top to the bottom for these parents to get to work, and we don't care what the work shift time is. You know what I'm saying? 24-hour facilities, and maybe those that work at those should even get a higher pay too, especially if they work the overnight shift, because most times at those 24-hour facilities, I guess the kids would just be asleep at night. That must have been an easy shift for the daycare people to work. Like, they just all on their little beds and mats, sleep with their blankets till their parents get off in the morning, take them home, get them ready for school, and then they go to school. Like, I have never seen the country try to make it so hard for parents of all people to go back to work. Yeah, then they got segments out here talking about everybody quit their jobs to run the social media. Nobody wants to work anymore. And that's a lie from hell. We been had jobs while we had social media accounts, just to let people know. Many people that work right now have social media accounts. And I don't think either has to do with the other. Like, why would they? What are they trying to say? It's just funny. Like, you can throw slugs, but you want to shut down people's channels and media broadcasts and radio stations when they speak up back at your slugs that you threw on the media. Even if you're using the media to throw slugs, okay, but you look weak to use the media and internet to throw your slugs. But then when a person is speaking back in response, you want to shut their shit down. Make that make sense? Yeah, because their response might actually expose you. That's crazy. Literally, we're going through that in the country right now. More censorship than ever. I don't mind being censored because I've probably been censored for a long time. I was being censored anyway with what I'm going through. So if you're going to be censored, make sure what needs to be said in the world is being said. That's my advice to people. You can't complain about being censored. I mean, we can complain about that. It's a waste of time. They might still censor you. So at least make sure what needs to be said gets said then. You the one wanted to censor everybody. Then the censorship leads to people, whole radio stations and broadcasts being shut down, funding cut, just because they're giving a response. I said these social media companies and websites and stuff, they actually need to take more accountability too. Now, if you see somebody using social media to abuse somebody, and your platform is allowing it, why would you think that you're not going to be under fire too? Oh, that has nothing to do with our platform. That, we don't control what people do on our platform. Maybe that's the problem. You're censoring people, but you're not. What kind of censorship are you doing if people can still use social media to bully and abuse people, and you overlook that, but you shut down the channels that's speaking up about censorship? It just doesn't make sense. They gonna know it's the real me when I'm talking, because some of the stuff I say, number one, you ain't heard nobody say it. Everybody's scared to say it. That's number two. You would have to have a heart like mine to even say some of the stuff I be saying, because it's from the heart. Didn't I state that on another stream? God groomed me and trained me specifically, and it wasn't an easy process. It was an actually very gory process. At some points in my life, people were even calling me haunted, or I don't know what they were saying. But the thing is, a process of training is never beautiful. It's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to look a little gory. That's why usually when something's under construction, everybody keeps their ass out of it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might get hurt that wasn't even supposed to get hurt, because you're not even supposed to be on that person's construction site, even if the construction site is their very life. You know, you understand that about the real world, but you'll walk into a whole construction site of somebody's life. Make it make sense. It clearly got caution signs all around it. Some of our lives, yeah. Caution signs, warning signs, watch your step signs, because it's a construction site. Nobody told you that we were fully made yet, or that we should be fully made at certain points of our lives. And I look at everybody like that, like pretty much under construction to the day they die. Because they said death is not really death, it's just like a transition into another dimension. And I believe it, because energy doesn't die. So how are you not under construction for the rest of your life? And you're constantly growing every day. You're constantly learning something new every day. But I will be like kind of disappointed to see or hear, oh yeah, their family came and got them. Yeah, now that we took the 6 kids out of the storage unit, yep, they're doing well. They're with their family. I don't like hearing that on the news, because it'd be like, where was the family before that person was in that situation? Where were they when that person was down near homelessness, or living at a shelter, or in a hotel room, and CPS just be quick like, oh, okay, come on, kids, y'all going with the family now. Probably putting certain kids more life and more danger than it was, if it was any danger prevalent, because struggles have never just been meant danger. Danger can only be presented to you. Most people don't wake up every day and just say, hey, I want to make my life dangerous as fucking possible today. That's not what most normal people think about themselves. Even the person with the lowest self-esteem is not looking for danger every day. You see what I'm saying? With the lowest self-confidence, they don't wake up with danger on their mind. If anything, they're more introverted. They feel safe sitting and standing alone every day. So the only other explanation is that danger is one of those things that can only be presented, or like you have to choose that. That's not something everybody choose every day. So what? And maybe to them, yeah, just leaving their kids at home to go run to work because the president said that's what everybody needs to do, is dangerous. Really, it is. It just is. Look at what's going on in the country. Thank you guys for tuning in to another live segment here with You Will Make It TV, where we share inspirational quotes, messages, and divine messages weekly. We thank you for your support. If you want to be a even bigger supporter to our channel, feel free to donate any small or great contribution to $ Poetic Quote. That's our channel Cash App. And until next time.